Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this episode up into a billion pieces, but it is what it is. Ooh, gained a trophy. Nice! Yeah, so if I have this kind of cut up, it is what it is. This has been like an hour-long recording session so far because it's just been hard to find a stopping point with all these events happening.
It was the peak of summer, and the sweltering sun was beating down on the residents of Trista. After returning from Heimdall, we were given a whopping 5-day summer vacation before the school year resumed.
Woo! 5 whole days!
Turns out, Thor sticks to its military roots, only granting extended vacations to students over the New Year's holiday. However, nobles are allowed to visit home, ostensibly to give them time to become familiar with their family's holdings. And, as you might expect, that meant most students from classes 1 and 2 spent summer away from Trista. Meanwhile, classes 3 through 5 were stuck on campus, envying the nobility as they studied and trained as usual. The other members of Class 7 and I chose to stay in Trista as well, facing the heat with our fellow students.
It's so hot, I'm dying in here. I'm sick of this heat already. Talking about it's just making me feel even hotter. The Academy should install an orbital air conditioner. At least then it'd be a little easier to cope. An orbital air conditioner? What's that? Well, it's this device that blows out cool air to help regulate a room's temperature. Maybe it'd help if you think of it as the opposite of a stove. Oh, that's some kind of wizardry. I've heard of them, but aren't they supposed to be prohibitively expensive? Only the most modern buildings seem to be able to afford them. Do you have one in your house? Well, there's one in the Rhineford Company's corporate headquarters, yeah. It'd be nice if my mother could spare one, for the academy she sits on the board of directors for. Seems a bit much to hope for. This is a military academy, so I doubt that we can expect to be indulged quite that much. Still, a machine to help us keep cool in the summer. Whoever first invented that should get a medal. I'll admit, the summer heat here is more difficult to cope with than it is in Legram, but as long as I think of it as another part of my training, it doesn't bother me all that much. Bereahar gets similar summer heat waves, but there's usually a breeze blowing in from the canyon at this time of year. That does make summers a bit easier to manage. My hometown's up in the mountains, so it's pretty much cool even around this time of year. Actually, now that you mention it, I would have thought that you three would go back home for the summer, being nobles and all. You were given permission, weren't you? If everybody else was going home, I would have considered it, but in the end, I decided against it. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago that I got to see Elise. Maybe next year. We came here to train. Until I feel like I've made significant progress, I have no intention of returning home. Some of you saw my father's mansion. Do you think I'd like to go back to a place like that willingly? I'd much rather stay here and take my chances with heat stroke. You're really that uncomfortable at home, huh? Still, as hot as it is, there's a lot going on right now. I doubt all the people headed to that conference at the end of the month have much time to be worrying about the heat. You make a good point. You're talking about the West Emuria Trade Conference, right? That's the one. There's never been an international conference on that scale before, at least not in modern times. Mayor Dieter Kreuss, who also happens to be the International Bank of Crossbell's CEO, was the one who first proposed it. I've heard that Prince Oliver will be attending on behalf of His Majesty the Emperor, and Chancellor Osborne's supposed to be attending too. Seems crazy to think that we met them both just a few weeks ago. The Chancellor in particular was a pretty intimidating figure. Seemed like a big scary monster. I've heard that he served in the Imperial Army before becoming a politician. Then, 11 years ago, His Majesty entrusted him with the position of Chancellor. Supposedly, a full 70% of the Imperial Army is under his jurisdiction. His real fame comes from establishing most of the nation's railway network centered on the capital, though he's also been responsible for annexing several smaller countries and independent states around Erebonia. I believe those all took place without any bloodshed though, at least as far as I'm aware. I wouldn't put too much stock into what he's selling. Military spending in this country has increased exponentially since he took up his position as Chancellor, and that's only possible thanks to the tax revenue he gleans from the people of Heimdall and those annexed nations. Well, he was the one who ordered the construction of those 2 railway guns they've got pointed at Crossbell too. At one point, Erebonia was on the verge of a full-scale war with Calvard because of those things. Yeah, I heard that it was actually Liberal that proposed a way to avoid an armed conflict. They ended up signing the Non-Aggression Pact, right? Yeah, though as I'm sure you've noticed, there's still quite a bit of tension between the two countries. I wouldn't be surprised if the issue reared its head again during the trade conference. Chancellor Osborne's been a really popular figure in the capital, though. Popular enough that he seems to have a group of terrorists after him. He does seem to be the Imperial Liberation Front's main target, doesn't he? What the hell ever? Something tells me he's leading the damn thing. You know, the hammer of judgment that shall topple the dictator and all that. Indeed, they seem to harbor a deep-seated grudge against him. Their anger seemed a bit unusual in its intensity, didn't it? He does seem like the type who'd make a lot of enemies, especially with a face like that. Well, I'd rather not speak ill of my father's close ally, but... Come to think of it, isn't the instructor awfully late? It's well past time for homeroom to start. True, it should have started about 10 minutes ago, actually. I swear, that woman. I thought that they were on summer break! She better not be sleeping off another hangover back at the dorm. Wouldn't put it past her. I wish I could say there was no way our upstanding instructor would do that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Excuse me. I'll have you know I did no such thing. Today.
I love how she qualifies it with today. Instructor?
Good morning, Instructor.
Morning, everyone! Anyway, I'll have you know I've got a good reason for being late today. And that reason is, we're going to be welcoming a new classmate today.
I can't wait to see who this is.
A transfer student at this time of year?
Seriously?
All right, come on in.
Righto.
Oh, Crow. Really? Huh, I like Crow.
Crow?
But isn't he a second-year student?
I'm Crow Armbrust. Starting today, I'll be joining you fine folks as a member of Class 7. It's gonna be pretty sweet, guys.
What? I mean, how?
Are you sure you want to know? It's a long tale fraught with the intrigue of school politics.
I don't think I'd put it quite like that. Back in his first year, he slacked off so much that he ended up failing a few of his classes. Then he came crying to me in a panic like, oh, me and Instructor Sarah, they're not gonna let me graduate. So as a special exception, he's going to be joining us for the next 3 months to pay for his laziness.
You can't be serious.
That's an even more pathetic reason than I was bracing myself for.
I think you already know that Crow was one of the trial users for the Arcus test they ran last year. So I thought he might be a good role model for you. In that sense, anyway. And don't forget, he'll also be joining us on our future field studies, too.
Nice. Looks like you saved me the trouble of having to explain it all. Anyway, let's let the good times roll. Oh, and since we're all classmates now, no need for all that sweet talking you lay on the other second years, all right?
Right. Easier said than done, I fear.
If he was any more laid back, he'd be comatose.
Not kind of like you.
Instructor, I can't help but notice you left the door open.
Is there somebody else too?
Huh? Are you serious?
Oh, I was hoping to catch you off guard. All right, come on in and say hello.
I thought you forgot I was out in the hall!
Oh, God almighty. Seriously, what's with the hat? Oh my god.
What?
You must be joking.
Yeah, this kid.
Hey, aren't you?
You're the girl we met in the Nord Highlands.
Yuppers! Long time no see, guys.
Okay, I like
See
Crow,
a couple of you I don't know, so I guess I better introduce myself.
but she looks like the Trix rabbit. Like, what the hell?
I'm Millium Orion. And this here's Aragetlum, but we'll just call him Lammy for short.
What the hell is that? Holy crap!
It's that thing we saw at Ark's fort.
So this is that strange girl you met in the Nord Highlands.
Oh, and a little house rule before anything gets blown up. No bringing that thing out in the classroom. If he accidentally smashes a wall or blasts through the ceiling, I'm the one who's gonna get chewed out for it.
Boo! Fine. Anyway. Nice to meet you guys.
God, you're annoying. Tell me you're kidding. Please, I'm totally with Rain on this.
I really wish I could.
Well, I can see we're in for some fun times these next 3 months.
Fun's one way to put it. Well, moving right along. Okay, Saturday. At first, no one was sure what to make of Crow Armburst and the Intelligence Division agent Millium Orion's sudden transfer into Class 7, but within a matter of days, it almost felt like they'd been there all along. Seriously? I'm sure none of you need to be reminded that it was none other than Emperor Drykos who ended the War of the Lions, but did you know that historical records tell us that he had amazingly few soldiers under his command? Initially, his allies numbered only a few confidants and several warriors from Nord, and while supporters rallied to him in each region, his rank still couldn't hope to compare to the other prince's armies. Nonetheless, they continued to advance, liberating region after region, and after a year of bloody battles, Prince Drykos met perhaps his most well-known supporter. Millium, right? Would you happen to know the historical figure to whom I'm referring? Sure do! Leanne Sandlot, also known as the Lance Maiden. Oh, right you are, well done! Sandlot was the daughter of a count who ruled over a remote region, and accounts tell she showed great martial skill from a young age. In particular, her skill with the lance was unparalleled. No records exist of her ever being bested in combat. The Lance Maiden also had a group of mighty warriors under her command who fought alongside her in battle. Perhaps you'd like to illuminate us as to the name of this famous band, Reen? Who were they? They were, let's see, the Eisenritter. Yep, the Iron Knights. They were a band of knights said to be able to charge across the battlefield like lightning, cutting down all in their path. I love how Crow is sleeping in the back right there. The Wandering Prince met the Lance Maiden one day during a prolonged conflict in a remote region of the country. After recognizing each other as reliable and trustworthy, they pledged to fight together under a united banner. With Lance Maiden and her knights bolstering his ranks, Drykos' army swept through one region after another. In just a year, he's able to defeat the other princes and free the imperial capital Heimdall. As an interesting footnote, the castle the Eisenhower used as their base of operations 250 years ago just so happens to be only a hop, skip, and a jump away from Laura's home in Legram. Indeed, it's known as Lohengrin Castle. It's a beautiful old building situated on the shore of Lake Ebel to the west of Legram. Oh, you've mentioned that before. Does anybody live there now? No. Due to the dangerous terrain there, no one goes near it. These days, it exists simply as a relic of a bygone age. The Arside family is responsible for the care and maintenance of the castle, though really, only minimal work is done. Speaking of the Arside house, wasn't one of your ancestors the Eisenritter's second in command? Indeed, the Lance Maiden's most trusted assistant and confidant from what I understand. The Sandlot family line ended with the deaths of the Lance Maiden, and it's partly because of that the Arside family mourns her death each year. I see. What a fascinating story. Legram, huh? Never had a mission there, so I've never been able to go. Maybe I should have stopped by when I went to Bereahard a while back. You'd think she'd at least try to conceal the fact that she gets sent all over the country on secret missions. I know, she totally just let it slip that she was doing something in Bereahard too. Well, I suppose it's better than her being all distant and cagey around us. Sweet! Whenever I taught and kids, fell asleep in class, what I would normally do is I would go over to them, kind of, like, the kids were all in on it, they all knew that the kid was sleeping, and I'd kind of grab my huge teacher book, you know, like the big teacher's manual book, and I would get right in front of their desk and slam it down so hard, and just, like, they would, like, wake up like, ah! You know, they'd be totally freaked out, and everybody would laugh at them, and then, like, you know, you only had to do it a couple of times, and then nobody was sleeping in your class anymore, because, they all knew. Nobody wanted to be embarrassed like that. I thought it was hysterical. But a lot of the other kids thought it was funny too. The kid who was woken up, I mean, at first they were kind of scared, but they thought it was kind of funny too. You could tell. I had a good time doing that. That and spraying kids with the water bottle from the overhead projector. So, what do you think? Well, I don't think that we have to be on guard around her at least. Same, though I'd rather she kept that giant silver thing of hers hidden. I don't think that she's a bad girl. I was taking a nap in the courtyard yesterday and she came and fell asleep next to me. What does that have to do with whether or not she's trustworthy? They look like a couple of kittens all curled up together. Their personalities may be worlds apart, but they're both rather cat-like in their own ways. She can't be more than 12 or 13, still practically a child. Yeah, you're right. She's so chipper all the time that it's hard to really be cold towards her. Yeah, I don't think that I could bring myself to spurn her. She's got this natural charm, I think. Be that as it may, her presence here reeks of blood and iron, if you take my meaning. Well, it certainly seems that way.
As such, I'm planning on granting you a bit of additional assistance. I should have it ready for you in a few weeks' time.
I don't think that it's her. I think it's the other one, but that's just me. Just going off what happened in Nord, there's not much that would make me doubt it now. And then there's that thing, Argatlam, that's always with her. She calls it Lammy, but aside from its name, we don't really know anything about it. It seems to be made from some strange material with both metallic and ceramic properties, hard but pliable. Agreed. It doesn't look like anything you could even make with most cutting-edge orbital technology. When I touched it, it felt really nice and cold. Wow, you actually touched it? It hasn't escaped my notice that it seems strikingly similar to the combat shells we fight in our practical exams. I think it's safe to assume that they share some kind of common origin. Yeah, the instructor said that she was forced to accept it, though in a sense, Millium was forced on us too. You're welcome to think what you will, but I don't trust her. Either way, she's technically our classmate now, like it or not. It may be a little early to tell whether we could trust her as a friend, but we should be able to figure out pretty quickly whether we can count on her as a member of Class 7. Well, that's a logical way of breaking it down at least. You're right, it's still pretty early to make sweeping judgments. Knowing her background would be great, but what's really important is whether we can count on her in a fight. Agreed. As students of a military academy, that's probably the most important issue. We'll have to wait and see. Well, considering we're living in the same dormitory, it'd be good if we all got along. Yeah, I wouldn't want her to think that we're trying to make her feel unwelcome either. And then there's Crow. What's he like, Reen? You seem like you get along with him pretty well. I don't know if I'd put it quite like that. If I had to say, I'd describe him as a capricious gambling addict way too prone to ante up for every hand. Adios, help us. He sounds like the kind of miscreant one would better be off avoiding. You can count on him when the chips are down, though. He really helped me out last month when Elise went in the old schoolhouse. He's good in a fight and pretty handy with his Arcus, too. Maybe we're worrying over nothing then. Still, I'm not really sure how to connect with him, you know? Well, at least we're in separate dorms for the time being. We'll just have to see how things go. And we'll go exploring and, check out the Academy and check out our free day next time on Let's Play Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And happy watching. Oh, and let me go ahead and do the end slate too. Let's see, we did Pursuing the Terrorists, I believe is what we're on. So, here we are. Have a good day.